What's going on, guys? This video I'm going to be teaching you guys the most important lesson you can learn from training with a live blade. And let me tell you, it's not that you can cut things. I'm a huge advocate against not training with a live blade, because there's so many things that can go wrong. This is just your standard bolo. It is a live blade. I do not train with this, but I will show you a couple of the perks that you can get from training in the most safe way possible. So no, I am not using this with partners. No, I am not practicing disarms with my live blade. I'm definitely not sparring with a live blade. You can obviously understand why. But the most important lesson to me personally when it comes to training with a live blade, and things you might miss when you just train in per se a single stick, is the proper mechanics when it comes to your movement. Don't get me wrong, there are movements with the stick that pertain to just the stick. But a lot of the times, you can often get carried away with how light the rattan is in your stick, or how light your weapon is, because a lot of it has to do with orienting the edge section, so that would be the sharp section of the blade, towards your target, and as well as understanding the fine lines of your striking. Anyone can pick up a stick, and even pick up a blade for that matter, and start hacking away and start attacking targets. It's not rocket science. But when you try to formalize it or systematically approach it in a sense of 10 basic strikes or whatever number of basic strikes, there's a little bit of finesse that has to be included. And I often tell my students here at the Academy at Union Martial Arts, when you play with blades or weapons, you can be strong, you can be fast, but it's always about outsmarting your opponent. It's about understanding the mechanics. It's about understanding position. It's about understanding how to finesse the actual movement itself. So when we talk about mechanics, number one, we can talk about striking. So obviously, with this bolo, it is a single-edged weapon, which means it is not sharp on the back side here. Okay? And so in order for this to work its magic, I need my knuckles to be pointing at my target at all times. That way, when I slash, I can use that to actually lacerate, right? And when I do this, I'll have to make sure that I draw enough momentum and I drive enough that it's actually going to cut. I can't just kind of wave it in the air without incorporating my core, because I'm just kind of like fanning this around and it won't really do much. Unless, of course, this is the sharpest blade in the world, which is not. So I'm going to use my proper mechanics of training, and I'm really going to use that motion orienting even just the smallest details of my hands in order to put it in a position where it's actually going to work. Now, one of the most important things I can draw from that, and you guys can practice at home, hopefully it doesn't have to be a live blade, but for you live blade collectors or fanatics, this is a very safe way to train it, I would think. Just find something heavier, relatively around the same weight as a blade would be. And one of the things that I often find is when you look at angles like a side to side per se. So in Bias Tres Manos, this is angles 3 and 4. A lot of the times when people do this, they get carried away and they do what I call the dog's tail, where they kind of just wave it back and forth like this, and the wrist is twisting and they're not really focusing on orienting the weapon. And that essentially comes from the blade. So I'm palm up and I'm trying to cut the line as flat as possible. I don't want it to wiggle around. I want it to be one clean, precise cut. And when I flip it, I monitor that weight and I control it on the way back to draw the same line. So I really want to focus on drawing the same line and be a precision striker as opposed to just wailing the stick out. And I can feel that most with my side to side. You can still feel the difference in your angle 1s and your angle 2s, but the side to side, you're really going to feel the difference because there is this weight that you need to balance. There is this level of concentration that you need to have. And that essentially would be the final piece when it comes to proper mechanics, is that you become more conscious and aware. You don't have to do super fast movements, especially if you are worried about cutting yourself, which I'm sure a lot of people are. So when you go through the motions, you learn to kind of, again, finesse it, and you work on the position and being able to understand what it is that you're doing with the blade and have an appreciation of all the small things that make simple movements like an angle 1 or an angle 2 so effective. So that is essentially the most important lesson I can give to training with live blades. Aside from that, stay away from them. They're lethal in their own right. It doesn't take a genius. Like I said, it's not rocket science to inflict damage with a live blade. Great to collect, great to admire. And I mean, if you want to chop some wood, by all means, but definitely when it comes to partner, you guys want to make sure that you're doing this for the long run. So drop the egos, drop the pride, and make sure that you and your training partner can enjoy, grab a drink later after training instead of taking a trip to the ER. So that is the most important lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment below and let me know how you guys feel about live blades. I know I did a little talk about this earlier in another video, so elaborate some more thoughts with me. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you are new. And until next time, catch you guys then.